Welcome to the Forward Marketing Podcast, the podcast that covers internet marketing strategies and leadership tactics to move your business forward. With your host, Joshua Jarvis. Hi, and welcome back to Forward Marketing Podcast. That's the number 4, RD Marketing Podcast, where we want to move your business forward. This is Joshua Jarvis, your host, and I'm really excited. We're wrapping up this sort of SEO series, search and optimization series, for you guys. And today's episode is all about the questions that you guys sent in via email. And I'm just so excited. I thank you so much. If you want to email me anytime, just joshua@forwardmarketing.com. And I'd be happy to reply back to that and help you out any way I can. But you guys sent in us a bunch of great questions. And I just kind of want to do a little recap in case you jumped in a little bit late. So we started several episodes ago. We started with sort of what is the fundamental thing of SEO, search and optimization. We talked about site structure, and we even used the word siloing. And I think it was something, it was really kind of a aha moment even I had by going over the episode of, really trying to stay on topic. And we followed that up with SEO sort of 101 and 102, which is the 9 fundamental components of SEO success. And it went for everything from your title tag and your meta description to talking about chronicalization and why you need that. Then we went to probably the most important thing, the single most important thing you can do is build quality links. And we talked about the 9 most effective strategies of building links for your site. In fact, it's the number 1 question on Quora as far as you see that over and over again. How do I build links? How do I build links? How do I build links? And I can guarantee you it's not Fiverr. Go back and listen to that episode. We give you 9 amazing ways to build links and actually generate traffic and build your domain authority. And then last week we covered keyword research. That was probably the most brutal episode for me, to be honest with you. It might have been brutal for you. I don't know. But I don't do well when I'm just sort of looking at numbers. I like analytics. I like this where it tells me where to go, but just sort of breaking down that process. I mean, I think my face was melting as I was just kind of going over it. But it is worth doing. In fact, as a small business owner, I think you can get away with doing it maybe once every quarter, once every other half a year, just to make sure you know where your content needs to be. So you should be doing that. But today's episode is all about you and all about the questions that you asked. And like I said, I'm so excited to have some of these questions from you. So I got a question from Cheryl, and she says, what is SEO? So I thought that was great. I said search and optimization, thinking that she just wanted the definition of the acronym. And no. She just kind of was like, well, what is it? How does it work? And all of that. And so in my sort of maybe rudimentary, like if you're an SEO guru and you're listening to me, you're probably not going to like any of my answers. But my answers are directed to small business owners, entrepreneurs, people who want to do sort of SEO either on their own or just want to be able to evaluate SEO people. And so what is SEO really? So what I do, and maybe it's the best way to answer this question, is kind of how I approach search and optimization for a website, is I'm going to look at the site structure, which is that one episode we already talked about. I'm going to see, are we covering the topics we need to generate leads? I'm going to look at our competition in that same space. So if this is an insurance company, I'm going to look at other insurance companies. What are they doing to generate leads? So it's not just sort of putting keywords on a page, but it's also understanding the overall strategy of a website. So what's the strategy? So that's the first thing I'm going to look at. Once I've gotten the strategy down, then we do some sort of basic SEO stuff. We run an audit on it. We look for things that we covered in one of the episodes, some of the mistakes that SEO people make, having sort of orphan pages, having pages where the file is not found, having bad linking, those sort of things. So I look for all of those sort of technical aspects on the technical SEO side of things. What is our title tag? Is it too long? But then we go into individual pages that we know that should be ranking and make sure that they're optimized. So if you were to write a blog post and you had a title on it, is it the most effective title cause someone to click on it? Right? Because that's going to increase your click-through rate. It's going to increase your ranking. So that's some of the things that we go over. Once we've done that with the site, then we look at building new content. And that's where the keyword research comes in and saying, okay, where do we want to take this trip? do we want to go down? In fact, that was actually how this whole series of SEO came about, is that I was looking that even though there's a monstrous amount of SEO content out there, there really wasn't that many SEO podcasts, and yet it was still such a popular topic. I said, I've got to cover it just in case you guys had questions. And so SEO really, in my mind, is an overall strategy for a website to achieve a goal. I mean, that's really how my mind works on it. I think a lot of times when you're reading an SEO article, search and optimization article, it's all about the technical aspects of keywords and keyword density and links and understanding domain authority and all that. And that does play a role, and it's a very big role. But at the same time, just understanding the overall strategy, I think, is so much more important. How does it work? Well, it works, and that was the second part of the question. So it works because what Google does is that I'm having to understand what the Google algorithm does, and no one really understands it completely. But basically, as it's crawling pages, it's looking for things to say, why does this page rank? And there's different factors, and we've talked about those in the last few weeks, so I'm not going to review them too much. But if it goes over a page and it sees a link from that page to another page, then that's basically voting for that page about that topic. And Google's smart enough to read the words around the link, understand that there's a context to this page and to this content. And so just understanding that whole thing, when Google crawls, and understanding that it's got two sets of information. It's got the crawling information, so which is the pages, and then it also has the queries, which people are typing in, and it matches those two together. That's how it works, is that you're basically creating a page that Google likes to see and people like to read. And that is it in a nutshell. So in the same line of thinking, I got another question here. What is black hat SEO? Well, black hat SEO, you've ever heard the sort of white hat, black hat, sort of there's good and evil, so to speak. I think most of what I see on SEO is all gray, to be honest with you. But black hat SEO would be where you're using the word sort of your spammy. In fact, even almost all the Fiverr stuff that you can do SEO things on are really black hat by definition, although I don't know how much they'll penalize you for if you were to get caught using them. For the most part, anything you're doing, by definition, by Google's definition, anything you do to manipulate the search results is considered, like artificially manipulate the search results, is considered black hat. So pretty much almost any SEO could be considered black hat by that definition, which is why I say it's all gray. The best way to avoid black hat would be anytime you're going to pay for links, anytime you're on something. I think one of the easiest ways to do it is this a get rich quick thing? Is this a get it done quick sort of result? If it is, chances are that it's probably in that black hat realm. If you're unsure, it probably is black hat. If you're creating content, quality content, and then you're reaching out to people and you're creating content for them and it's linking back, would that be considered black hat? Yeah, it could be. But if you're doing it with the right motivation and attitude, I think in my mind, I'm okay with it, and I think it works. So I think you've got to make your own judgment call. I know when I'm with clients, as far as black hat is concerned, I explain to them, in fact, even in my contract, I said you won't do any Fiverr stuff. Nothing against those Fiverr guys. They're doing the best job they can. It's just I don't want to do anything that artificially is going to do and it's short term, and I don't want to have something I have control over. If I'm writing content for a publication and I get a link back to myself or to one of my clients, I've delivered great content. The link is contextual. It's not spammy. It's not adsy. You'll see that even in my forwardmarketing.com site, I may have affiliate links. Well, what did I do? I followed the protocol of what you're supposed to do, and I follow those links. So it's just one of those things where you can get into danger by trying to cut corners, and that's really to me, that's really what black hat is all about, is trying to cut corners to do that. All right, so next question was, is Yoast that effective? Do I need to do anything else with Yoast? You mentioned Yoast on a podcast. Tell me about Yoast. Okay, so the Yoast SEO plugin for WordPress is my favorite, although there's a bunch of other ones that do it just as well. The plugin in and of itself isn't going to help you do anything. Actually, it does do a few things for you. It creates a sitemap. Some of those things, I guess, are automatic. It gives you really, really easy access to do things to optimize your post. But it's not going to do it. Like I said, I don't think it's a magic bullet. I don't think you can just install Yoast on a WordPress site and then it's going to be, oh wow, it's going to start ranking really well. No, it's all going to be about your content. And if you remember our keyword episode last week, you could take those keywords, you could put it into your focus keyword section of Yoast, and then when you write your post, Yoast has in it some suggestions on how to make it more optimized. And so I think that's where really the power is. The other thing that's really powerful that a lot of people don't use, is the sort of link counter that it has, and it can show you how many links are going to each post and how many links are coming out of each post. I think that's a premium feature. But in any case, it's super valuable to know that each blog post that you have should be linking to something else. That's one of the most important things that you can understand about creating content is it needs to be linked to something else. In fact, it's worthwhile to spend either once you've published it to spend some time or to go back once a month and relink content. And what I mean by that is to go back, let's say you wrote blog post number 1, right? But you don't have anything else to link to. So blog post number 1 is there. Then you write blog post number 2. Well, it's worthwhile to go back to blog post number 1 and link to blog post number 2, if that makes sense, especially if it's in the same topic. The same thing goes as you keep going down the list. You don't want to go on blog post 10 and have 10 links going out. What I'm suggesting is that you just link within there and just use good linking strategies. But anyway, Yoast can help out with that. All right, so the next question was, how do I generate traffic? Well, we talked about this pretty much for the last several episodes. Link building is one of them. Anything that you can do to generate links that's going to help you rank, that's going to help you get more traffic. I think there's also some social media strategies that you could use. That's going to be a topic that we're going to cover in just a few weeks. Ultimately, though, it's going to be all about that sort of, creating things that people want to share and people want to read. All right, it's not enough to be an SEO guru, a wizard, and get ranked for things that people aren't searching for. And that's why you want a certain search volume that we talked about in the keyword research episode. But really, to get traffic, you really need to have a very good sort of SEO strategy, as well as, I think, social media and sort of brand things to get really good traffic. And you need those links being shared. You need links back and forth. And that's why I go all the way back to one of the episodes I said, just talk about your passion. If you get people who, even if it's just 100, who love you and love your content and they share it, each one of those 100, even if they're not necessarily quote unquote an influencer, if they were to share that content, there's another 100. I mean, and you can see that sort of exponentially can grow. And so that would be my suggestion. Like I said, I'm the SEO thing, and the SEO person in me wants to tell you that you just look at the keywords, you write the content, and that it will come. But I know that's not true. That you have to build the links, and you do need a little bit of social interaction in order to generate the kind of traffic that you need to get to the level to where you could live off the income that's generated from the website, unless you've got a high ticket thing like a real estate. If you could easily do, get 12 leads a year that close, and that pays for whatever you would do. So I don't think I answered that really well, but the way that's worded, I think when you're looking for traffic, you have to understand sort of the keyword volume that you're going after. You have to understand what's possible so that you can sort of say, well, am I getting good traffic or not? 1,000 visits a month may be excellent if that's if your market's really small. Whereas if there's 1 million searches for that, then obviously you're not getting much traffic at all. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. It says local SEO. How does that work? Why is that different? You mentioned it before. I didn't really understand what local SEO was and how's that different from regular SEO and all that. So really, what I was talking about was local SEO is what I'm referring to is sort of the map search. So anytime you do business, and this is really for the small business owners. When I said I had someone complain about the sort of the B2C, B2B, this is really where, if they were going to complain, this is really where they could, because this is where, if you have a physical location, this is where you can really get the low-hanging fruit that's available through the map search. And so a map search is sort of like the keyword name plus area. So it'd be real estate agents in city, it'd be insurance agents in city, it'd be plumbers in city. So you can see, or near me. I know the popular ones like pizza places near me, coffee near me, plumbers near me. Any of that is going to pull up a map on the search. And if you look at the map, there's a list of people that are on that map. And I call that local SEO. Some people call it map-based search. Some people call it Google My Business, because that's actually where you rank, where you put your business there. And how does it work? Is it's got a bunch of different things working for it. There's another episode on this, so I don't want to go into too great a detail. But basically, when you register your business, it registers your name, your address, and your phone number, and your website. And once you've registered that at Google My Business, it becomes basically like a link. All right, that's what I'm going to call it. They call it a citation, or you can call it a NAP. And so in order to rank for that, it has a bunch of different factors. Just like a piece of content, a page of content has a bunch of different factors. That page needs to have the keywords on it. It needs to have great content. It needs to have a click-through rate. It needs to have all these different links to it, proper site structure, all that. Well, for your citation to rank, or for your business to rank on the map, it needs to have citations, which you can get by going to directories. There's our company, ForwardLocal.com, will create these directories for you and sync them all up so that they're the same. That's the key thing, that whether you do this on your own or whether you get someone else to do it for you, is that the same name, address, and phone number needs to be the same on all of them in order for you to get sort of the juice behind the citation. So you want to get citations from directories, Yelp, those sort of things. You want to get reviews. And so I tell people, if you have one place to get reviews, get them on Google. If you have two places to get them, then get them on Google and Facebook. If you have three places, then go to Yelp. Then go to your third party. Unless you're spending money there, then you can switch that up. But Google is probably the most important, because that's where most people search. That's where they search first. And so it's the reviews, it's the citations, and then it's really how the content is arranged on your Google My Business. Do you have photos? Do you have those sort of things? But the thing that you can do to manipulate it the most is, I use that word right after saying answer to the black hat, but the thing that you can do to really influence it is to get the citations. The citations make the biggest difference, and as well as your landing page. So when they click on your website, are they getting the information for, so let's say you had let's say you were a dentist. That's a good example. Dentist near me. Well, if they click on your website, let's say you're looking in a city and your information, the address should be on there. All the information that customer would need needs to be on that page. And if they go to that page, and let's just say, you didn't optimize your page, and they go to the page and it's kind of ugly and they bounce. So it means they hit back on the back button. Well, that means that your ranking's going to suffer for that, and then the next dentist is going to do well. So that's basically in a nutshell how local SEO works, and that would be what you need to do is go listen to that episode. And we've also got a guide. I'll link to that in the show notes. Links. How do I build links? Well, we talked about that in another episode. We talked about the 9 most effective ways to build links. Everything from creating content like infographics and things that people would share, to newsjacking, to my favorite one that's worth mentioning, which is signing up for Help a Reporter Out, where reporters send in sort of requests for interviews and that sort of thing, the questions they have, and you can respond to them and typically get a link back to your business or to your website. But I would go back and listen to that episode. I think I covered it there. There's no sense in spending a lot of time on it on this one. All right. So how long does SEO take? I think this is an excellent question. I used to try to tell people, I really wanted to tell them 3 months. But the reality of it is that it could take 3 to 6 months. I have one client that, he's seeing amazing results in 30 days, but that is not typical. I've got another client I've been working on for 6 months, and she's not seeing anything yet. And we see traffic, we see rankings, but we don't see leads yet. And so it's a constant process. It's a diagnosis. You go through and diagnose, what are we doing? Are we doing the right things? Are we doing them enough? And then also understanding where you're at. Do you have a brand new domain that's never been used or never been used properly, and you're starting at zero? To me, it's SEO is a lot like trying to get a train started. Is that it's very, very difficult to get that first wheel to turn. But once the momentum's going, it's very difficult for the train to stop. And that's a good thing in a case of SEO. So how long does it take to work? I think if you hired a professional, you're probably looking at anywhere to that 3 to 6 month range. I think if you spend a lot of money, you probably could speed that up. Just because the level of content that you'd get, the number of links, the links that you'd get are going to be faster. But if you were doing it on your own, I'd say 9 to 12 months. In fact, some of the professional bloggers out there, definitely took 2-3 years before they started to see any sort of real income coming from their efforts. So you didn't mention feature snippet in one of the episodes. I think you might have mentioned it as a side. Can you go back over how to set up a feature snippet? I don't think I ever actually covered how to set up a feature snippet. So feature snippet, it's one of those weird sort of topics that isn't really long enough for me to talk a whole episode about, but it's worthwhile to answer it here. 19% of all searches are questions. I thought that was a cool stat. But basically, a feature snippet is an answer, is basically you're answering a question. So you could create a question post and then answer the question sort of concisely in a sort of paragraph format with a header, and then expand on that question. And so that would be basically it. Now, one of the best places to go to see the kind of questions that you might want to answer is called Answer the Public, and answerthepublic.com. If you type in a question, so I typed in SEO, and it gave me just hundreds of options. It's one of my favorite sites for content. And if we didn't include it on the keyword research one because although it gives you some keyword research, it really just kind of gave you a bunch of questions. So in this case, you should use it to get the questions that you may want to answer, especially if you're trying to go after feature snippets. And then you can also use a tool like SEMrush to see if questions that you're asking, that you're trying to target, do they have a feature snippet that's available? And so that's kind of an important deal. If there's not enough search volume, then Google's not going to create the feature snippet. That's kind of important. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're answering the question, you've got to answer the specific question. You've got to be concise, but don't answer it so much that they don't want to click on the result. So an example one I read was like, how old is Donald Trump? They display the answer there, so there's no need to click. And so that's the key to understanding the feature snippet, is that you can go after them, but you also need to understand that once you've got it, that you want to have an answer that causes someone to click on the result. Otherwise, it's kind of a wasted effort. But that's it. I mean, really, there's no special trick to getting a feature snippet. You've just got to have the right content with answering a question for that. And when I typed in SEO for Answer the Public, I thought it was interesting. One of the top questions was, will SEO die? And to answer that question, I will say no. As long as there are search engines, there will always be people who want to optimize the content to rank number one. So where to start? Where to start with the tools, where to start learning how to do SEO. I just don't know where to start to get information. Well, hopefully this podcast is helping, but if not, one of the best places to go is moz.com, moz.com. I don't really think their tools are actually used by SEO people anymore, although they are the most popular. You kind of have to have Moz or be aware of Moz just because of the level of influence. My favorite thing they do is called Whiteboard Fridays, and the videos are very, very good, much better than my content. That's kind of the content I'm sort of shooting for. But they have a sort of how to learn SEO. I think that's great if you've never done anything with that. If you're looking for something outside of the sort of generic suggestion of Moz, there's a website called Backlinko. It's called Backlink, and then the letter O.com. He's got some great guides on there, particularly one about keyword research that I thought was excellent. And that's another good one to do. Obviously, you can use Google and type in any question that you have about SEO and pretty much get an answer. I know it's daunting to do that. And then, like I said, it's my podcast. But one thing I do want to tell you about is coming in 2018, I will be releasing a sort of guide for SEO for small business owners, real estate agents, and those kind of people that you could sign up for and have access to videos and tutorials on how to do everything SEO related. And it's going to walk. It's not so high level that it. I'm not trying to win any awards for the content necessarily. And what I mean by that is by making it deep. And you'll understand what I'm saying if you go to see Backlinko. guy talks about these different tools. He talks about all these different things, and it's just like overload. Like, it was clear that he wanted to rank for, keyword research. That's what this is about. This is about helping business owners and entrepreneurs sort of do the SEO work on their own, or be able to sit a virtual assistant down or their assistant down in front of the computer and say, watch these videos and then do the content. And that's what that's about. So we're going to be releasing that next year. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you're already on our mailing list, is please fill out the survey for me. That will let me know kind of what topics to talk about, and let me know what kind of conversations that you want to have. If you fill out the survey, my promise to you is that you will get free access to this, as well as free access to anything that we create at the beginning of the year around SEO. That's my promise to you if you listen to this and you do that. I would love it also if you gave me a review, obviously, on iTunes. But you can also email me. You can ask me a question at joshua@forwardmarketing.com. That's joshua@4rdmarketing.com. I'm happy to answer any sort of SEO questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question today. I wanted to keep the episode kind of under 30 minutes. So, but I think we covered a lot. What I want to tell you about next week is we got an exciting episode for you. We actually have the next sort of 3 weeks, we're going to be kind of going away from SEO. We're going to talk about Facebook marketing. And I've got a special guest coming in. This guy, he's got such a great story of how he's leveraged Facebook marketing. He actually won the competition back how many years ago, back when a mobile app came out for Keller Williams. He actually won the competition for the most number of downloads. He's got a great story around that. But basically, he's going to talk to you about how to generate really, really low-cost leads by just understanding how Facebook works. And I thought I knew how to do Facebook marketing, but when I heard him talk about it, I said, I've got to have him on the podcast instead of me. And so he's going to be going over sort of A to Z, how to use Facebook for marketing and how to sort of leverage the ads that are there. And then we're also going to go over video and how to use video for lead generation. In fact, how to make video your content strategy for 2018. That's really the subject of that episode. And I know you're kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to listen to that episode because it's about video and I don't want to do video. But really, I think as far as a business owner, it might be the most leveraged way for you to generate a massive amount of content and really massive leads. And so we're going to go over that. It was my key strategy to selling over 100 homes in 1 year. If you're a real estate agent, you want to tune in, and believe me, you can do this. If I can do it, then you can do it. I mean, you hear the podcast, you probably can go and Google me and see the videos I created, and I kid you not, they were successful. So anyway, thanks so much for listening to this episode. I would love it if you would rate it, review it,